In Barrow, Alaska, we are going to rotate. That means that we're gonna exchange the scientific crew and most of the other normal crew on Odin as well. So we're gonna start leg 2, following from leg 1 that started in Tromsø and now took Odin all the way the Northeast Passage on the outer side of the shelf. And now we're gonna take over and take Odin back again. And then we're going to go a little bit more inside in the Arctic Ocean, a little bit further out to the deeper part of the Arctic Ocean. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to rotate, trying to bring all the people out to Odin and try to bring all the people off Odin that are going to leave. The scientific questions for Swerus are common actually. So we have the broad scientific questions about gas hydrates on the slopes. We have the whole gas or the whole methane problem and stored carbon on the shallow shelves. Some things there's a little bit more focus on the shallow shelf in the first part of Swerus, and we have a little bit more focus on the slopes and further out to the deep Arctic Ocean on the second part of Swerus. But most of the or I would say all of the scientific questions are cross-spanning the entire Swerus program. But so we complement each other by collecting some data that are complementary. For example, they have started some really fantastic transects in leg 1, where they went from the shallow part out towards the shelf edge. And now we're going to try to continue this and come from the outer deeper part and meet with them on this shallow part, so we can join up and get extremely long transects where we collect data, sediments and geochemical data, oceanographic data. Some other aspects that are slightly different from leg 2 compared to leg 1 is that we're going to do a little bit more geophysics. We will have, for example, seismic equipment with us, so we're going to shoot seismic along the slopes or cross the slopes in order to collect the information about the sediments deeper down than you can reach with the other acoustic devices we have and the coring equipment. One scientific question is on leg 1, which we also have on leg 2, but we will focus a little bit more on the longer time perspective, because we're trying to get more long piston cores, so we can really get the long time dimension of the whole problems we're studying, which is the climate, cryosphere and carbon interaction. So for example, the sea ice history. We're now going to try to get very long sediment cores to get the sea ice history as far as back as the cores will allow us. And this is one important aspect. We're going to try to take many piston cores on leg 2. They did take some on leg 1, but we're going to try to take a lot more. The challenges well, there are many challenges. For example, we need to have all the gear and all the geophysical equipment and all the sampling equipment to work. There's always issues when you have so many different things that need to work. You can break a corer, you can damage a small part of a geophysical equipment so it stops working. So that's always a big challenge, to get all this to operate smoothly. And you have a lot of spares with you, and so you can we're equipped for a lot of damages. I would say that one of the other big challenges, which we cannot do so much about, only to cope with it, and that's weather and wind and ice. For example, when we're going to go we start the second leg, we will start in an area north of Wrangel Island, and that area is currently open. There is no sea ice there, which is good for the geophysical measurements. But when we are going to sample from Odin, it could be a complete nightmare if you have big waves. It doesn't even work. So there we are in the hands of the weather gods. It's extremely difficult to do something if Odin is rolling too much in open sea when it comes to sampling, because it's not the ship which is good to maintain position in open water. It's an icebreaker. So we do much better when it comes to sampling if we have a little bit ice around us. So that's one big challenge. The other challenge is the other end of the perspective, when you have so much ice that it's difficult to do the geophysical measurements. That is very difficult. If we want to do survey lines with seismic equipment, for example, when we are going to tow a long streamer after the boat. And we're also going to do electromagnetic investigations where you tow an 800 meter long cable after the boat. And if you have sea ice then drifting into this, you run the risk of losing this cable. And the same thing goes with the hydrophone streamer that you tow after the ship when you do seismic. So it's very difficult with the conditions. Barrow doesn't have a port. So Barrow is an area, it's a little village along the coast where you don't have a proper dock or anything. So Odin cannot go into Barrow. We must go out with small boats. And this means that we have to go through the waves. I've been at Barrow when it's blowing a lot and you have good surf waves at Barrow. And with them trying to go through those with small boats, it's not going to work. So we need to have decent conditions to get out to Odin. So that's the first thing that is spinning in my head. How will this rotation work? I'm very excited to go out actually. So I just long to get there and get going.